things belong to Yahuwah our Elohim, and he reveals them to us and our children forever, so that we may do all the words of this Torah. And it is the glory of Elohim that conceals the word, and the glory of kings to search out the word. Seek, and he will give you the treasures that were hidden in dark and secret places, so that you know that it is Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, that calls you by your name. And when you stand at the crossroads and look, be still, and know that he is Elohim, and ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and then walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. So let his word be proven true on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, so you stand without hesitation or wavering, and then you can hold your ground with a stable and level mind. Being secure in your belief without doubting, because those who doubt are like the waves of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. They should not think that they will receive anything from the Master. They are double-minded, unstable in all of their ways.
Living in the information age, we are overwhelmed with data, and the promise of gaining wisdom from all of this data has come through countless learning programs, college curriculums, and schemes, including the promise of an increased intelligence through DNA modification or digital enhancement. None of these practices will increase our understanding of the Word, the truth, or the way. Instead of using the other wisdom of men to grow our understanding, we are going to explore one of the ancient paths, the AtBash, as it is one of his ways that brings rest to our souls. Shalom.
The AtBash is an ancient alphabetic substitution cipher created to encrypt the Hebrew alphabet. A cipher is the key to unlocking an encrypted message. If you do not have the key, you cannot unlock the message. And we know if you can control the language, you can control the narrative. And more often than not, the narrative does not reflect the truth. The name AtBash is derived from Aleph Tav, At, the first and the last letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and Bet Shin, Bash, the second letter, and the second to the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It can be modified for use with any known writing system with a standard collating order. The AtBash is a very common, simple cipher, modified here to work with the English alphabet. When encrypted, an A becomes a Z, B turns into Y, etc. This is a very simple way to send an encrypted message, because it will look like jumbled letters if you do not have the cipher or key. For example, GLIZS has no meaning in the English language because it has been encrypted using the AtBash. But when you use the key, you unlock the word Torah. But in Hebrew, the cipher wouldn't be A equals Z and B equals Y, but rather Aleph equals Tav and Bet equals Shin. AtBash. One example of an AtBash is found in Jeremiah 25:26. The King James and many other versions of the Bible are translated, "And all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world, which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Sheshach shall drink after them. But the NLT, the ESV, the Amplified Bible, Contemporary English Bible, and the NET Bible are all translated, and the king of Babylon shall drink after them. So which translation is correct? Should Jeremiah 25:26 say Sheshach or Babylon? In Hebrew, Sheshach is spelled Shin, Shin, Kaf. And this is what we find when we look at Jeremiah 25:26 in Hebrew. However, when we look at this word through the understanding of the AtBash, we unlock a hidden truth. Shin, Shin, Kaf becomes Bet, Bet, Lamed, or Bavel, Hebrew for Babylon. So they are both correct, but you have to have the key. Amazing.
But we are not going to look for the understanding of hidden Bible codes or gematria. Instead, we will focus on how we can implement the keys of the AtBash to enhance our personal studies by taking the first will be last and the last will be first concept and applying it to the scriptures in order to find witnesses, because these witnesses will act like a mirror, reflecting not only the same wording or language, but the context as well. And one thing we all know about a mirror is that a mirror does not lie. This is not a foreign concept in our society. Today we say learn them forwards and backwards. In grammar school, we were taught this concept to strengthen our understanding of basic math. As an example, while you are memorizing the equation 3 times 4 equals 12, you are simultaneously capable of memorizing the equation 4 times 3 equals 12. Because even though the numbers are in a different order, the answer is still the same, and the second equation becomes a witness or mirror to the first equation, confirming the first equation. And because there is no other possible answer, our minds become free from any doubt. And we are able to store that information with nearly instant recall, typically for the rest of our lives, giving us an unwavering mind. We call this gaining understanding, wisdom, or truth. And we see the concept of from the last to the first and the first to the last manifest itself in our natural human behavior. For example, nearly everyone has said,
I have looked and looked. I have even retraced my steps, but I still can't find my keys.
Instinctively, when we are looking for something we have misplaced, we return to the beginning point of our journey. Some people immediately return to the very beginning. Others will stop along the way at places of interest where they have found their keys in the past, like a dresser or a desk, as they make their way back to that beginning point. Either way, you are returning to the beginning to find something you have lost. If we instinctively retrace our steps to find a lost possession like a set of keys, no matter how important these keys may be, the keys to the kingdom of the heavens should be given far greater importance in our minds. One of the greatest dilemmas people discover when they begin their journey down the narrow path of the Torah is overcoming doubt. This is comparable to standing at the crossroads and asking for the good way. And one way we are guided on the narrow path is through revelation. But revelation alone does not always bring the clarity that leads to Shalom. Oftentimes, doubt still remains. However, when you gain confirmation of that revelation, you will see the AtBash at work.
Because revelation through confirmation removes doubt. And we see that just like our simple math equation, there can be no other answer. Because when you receive revelation through confirmation, this confirms the original revelation, and they act like a mirror reflecting and revealing the truth. The first was last, and the last was first. AtBash. The application of the AtBash can be as simple as taking a word in English and reading it backwards, like reading it in a mirror. The first letter becomes the last, and the last letter becomes the first. For example, when you take the word live and read it right to left, you get the word evil. In English, we read and write left to right. But in Hebrew, you read and write right to left, right? And this is a witness that should increase our faith, because when we return to the beginning, Genesis 2:17 says,
"Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for in the day that you eat of it, you will die.
Here we see evil directly linked to death, the opposite of live. So in this case, we use the same exact letters in the exact opposite order, revealing or reflecting the exact opposite definition, like reading it in a mirror.
And mirrors have also been made manifest in our physical design. When we look at both of our hands together, we see they are a mirror to each other. 2 hands with a total of 10 fingers, 5 on each hand. Just like the 2 tablets of stone, a total of 10 commandments, 5 on each tablet. A constant reminder of His commandments are in plain sight for everyone to see, as we are made in His image. With our hands, we hold on to His Torah so that the Torah can be made manifest through the work of our hands. And we have 2 feet with 10 toes, 5 on each foot, so that we can stand firm on His Torah in order to walk in His ways. And our feet and toes are the second witness, or mirror of the 10 commandments, and these are given that we might reflect back His Torah. And when we read the 10 commandments through the mirror of the AtBash, we begin to find mirrors everywhere. The first commandment says, "I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other Elohim against my face." And when we read the 10th and last commandment, it says, "Do not covet your neighbor's house, do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or anything belonging to your neighbor." And when we look at Exodus 34:12-16, we get confirmation these 2 commandments mirror each other or work together when Yahuwah said, "Guard yourself unless you make a covenant with those on the earth who dwell where you are going. It will be a trap among you. But break down their altars and smash their pillars and cut down their asherim, for you do not bow yourself to another Elohim. For Yahuwah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous El, unless you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their Elohim, and slaughter to their Elohim. And one of them invites you, and you eat of his slaughterings, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters whore after their Elohim, and make your sons whore after their Elohim." Here we see the 1st and 10th commandments mirror each other, and this understanding is confirmed in 1 John 2. "Do not love the world, nor that which is in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Because all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lusts of it, but the one doing the desire of Elohim remains forever."
Now we will compare the 2nd commandment with the 9th. The 2nd commandment says, "Do not make for yourself a carved image, or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, a jealous El, visiting the sins of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commandments." And the 9th commandment says, "Do not bear false witness against your neighbor. And we can find the connection confirmed in Deuteronomy 13, 1 through 3. When there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he gives you a sign or a miracle, and the sign or the miracle comes true, if he speaks to you, saying, "Let us go after other Elohim which you have not known, and serve them," do not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, because Yahuwah your Elohim is testing you, to know whether you love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being.
Commandment number 3 says, "Do not bring the name of Yahuwah your Elohim to naught, because Yahuwah does not leave anyone unpunished for bringing his name to naught." And commandment number 8 says, "Do not steal." And this match is confirmed in Proverbs 30:8 and 9. "Remove falsehood and a lying word far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me my portion of bread. Unless I become comfortable and deny you and say, 'Who is Yahuwah?' Unless I become destitute and steal and profane the name of my Elohim."
Now the fourth commandment says, "Remember the Sabbath day, to set it apart. 6 days you labor and will do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath of Yahuwah your Elohim. Do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore, Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart." And when we read the seventh commandment, it says, "Do not commit adultery." Again, we find this connection confirmed in Ezekiel 20, 23, 24, and 30, when Yahuwah said, "I myself lifted my hand in an oath to those in the wilderness, to scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout the earth, because they had not done my right rulings, and they rejected my laws, and they profaned my Sabbath, and their eyes were on their fathers' idols. Therefore say to the house of Israel, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, you are defiling yourselves in the way of your fathers, and you whore after their abominations." Note that the fourth commandment, Sabbath, is mirroring the seventh commandment, adultery. It should also be noted that the Sabbath was set apart on the seventh day of the week, and committing adultery is the seventh commandment. And the sun, moon, and stars, which regulate the appointed times, Moedim, were created on the fourth day of the week, which mirrors the fourth commandment, Shabbat. The seventh day is the day of the Shabbat, but it is also a sign of the covenant, like a wedding ring. And in Exodus 31, 12 through 18, we also see that the 10 Commandments serve as the wedding covenant, or ketubah, signed by the finger of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, You are to guard my Sabbaths by all means, because it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, to know that I, Yahuwah, am setting you apart. And you will guard the Sabbath, because it is set apart to you. Everyone who profanes it will die, because anyone who does work on it, that being will be destroyed from among his people. 6 days work is done, and on the seventh is a Shabbat Shabbaton. set apart to Yahuwah. Everyone doing work on the Sabbath day will die. And the children of Israel will observe the Sabbath to guard the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. Between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever. Because in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. And when he had finished speaking with him on Mount Sinai, Yahuwah gave Moshe the 2 tablets of the witness, tablets of stone, written by the finger of Elohim. This is a beautiful section of Scripture, as it mirrors a marriage proposal. There is a contract or covenant, 2 witnesses, a promise to be set apart to each other, conditions, and a sign like a ring. And confirmation came in the days of Yoshiyahu the sovereign, when Yahuwah said to Yirmiyahu,
Have you seen what backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree and committed whoring there. And after she had done all this, I said, Return to me. But she did not return, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And I saw to it that, for all the causes backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I put her away, and have given her a certificate of divorce. And still her fake sister Yehuda did not fear, but went and committed whoring too. And it came to be, through her frivolous whoring, that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and wood. Yet after all this, her disloyal sister Yehuda has not turned to me with all her heart, but falsely, declares Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to me, Backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous than faithless Yehuda. But indeed, O house of Israel, you have betrayed me the way a wife betrays her husband. The comparison of Israel and Yehuda to unfaithful wives is clear, and adultery was the cause of their divorce from Yahuwah. The Shabbat was the sign of that marriage, and we see just how important the 4th commandment is to Yahuwah and mankind when we examine it carefully. We find that contained within this one commandment there are an additional 10 commandments when you break it down. Remember the Sabbath day. This describes most of us who were not raised in Torah when we begin to observe Shabbat. We acknowledge it is the truth and it is real, and we are simply being obedient. It is the first step towards fulfilling the commandment. Number 2, set it apart. We are to set the Sabbath day apart from the world, as everything set apart to Yahuwah is by definition set apart from the world. Number 3, 6 days you will do all of your work. The world we live in runs 24/7, 365, and our modern 40-hour work week is only 5 days. Number 4, the 7th day you are to do no work. We rest from all of our work on the Sabbath, and we see an exact mirror as the 4th commandment in this list of 10 instructions tell us to rest on the 7th day. Number 5, nor your son. Your son is only responsible for himself in this regard when he becomes an adult. Until then, you are responsible to keep him from working for you or others as his parent. Number 6, nor your daughter. The same applies to your daughter. So you are also responsible to keep her from working for you or anyone else. Number 7, nor your male servant. The servant is not greater than his master. If the master rests, the servant rests also, and he is responsible for himself and his children to keep them from working or serving you, just as you are responsible to keep them from serving you. The Shabbat is for the servant as well. Number 8, nor your female servant. Here we see there is no difference in the commandments to the male or female servant. They are held to an equal standard and given the same rest, even as the son and the daughter are. Number 9, nor your cattle. Your beasts of burden are to rest as you do. You are responsible not to put them to work for you at all, but this also means you don't lend them to another to work or cause them to work by way of any other conceivable scheme. Number 10, nor the stranger who is within your gates. The Sabbath is for everyone, even the visitor. The second set of 10 commandments for the Sabbath day are amazing, and they reveal to us that the Sabbath is for everyone, even the visitor. And we get confirmation of this revelation when we use the AtBash again with the first and 10th commandments. Number 1 is remember the Sabbath, and number 10 is nor the stranger who is within your gates. When we correct the grammar, we can form a complete thought to put to the test. Remember, the Sabbath day is also for the stranger, and this thought is confirmed in Numbers 15, 15, and 16, and 15, 22 through 26. There is one law for you of the assembly and for the stranger who sojourns with you, a law forever throughout your generations. The stranger is the same as you before Yahuwah. One Torah and one right ruling is for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you. And when you sin by mistake and do not do all these commands which Yahuwah has spoken to Moshe, all that Yahuwah has commanded you by the hand of Moshe, from the day Yahuwah gave command onward throughout your generations, then it will be, if sin is done by mistake, without the knowledge of the assembly, and the priest will make atonement for all of the assembly of the children of Israel, and it will be forgiven of them, because it was by mistake, and they did not know. And it will be forgiven for all the assembly of the children of Israel and the stranger who sojourns among them, because all the people sinned by mistake, and they did not know.
In these 10 commandments for Shabbat, we see that the Sabbath is not only the day of rest from all of our work, set apart from the world and the 6 working days, but we also see that the Sabbath is available to everyone and anyone, all being responsible to keep others from serving us or causing anyone to work for us, not even our cattle. Shabbat is our sign or mark that we are setting ourselves apart from the world so that He will set us apart for Himself. So, we observe the Shabbat to guard the Shabbat throughout our generations as an everlasting covenant, as it is a sign between Yahuwah and all of the children of Israel forever. When we guard the Sabbath, we are walking with Elohim. Now we will look at the 5th commandment, honor your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the earth that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. And the 6th commandment, do not murder. And we find the AtBash, or mirror, in John 8:31 through 45. When Yahusha said to the Yehudim who believed him, "If you stay in my word, you are truly my taught ones, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." They answered him, "We are the seed of Abraham, and have been servants to no one at any time. How do you say you will become free?" And Yahusha answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone doing sin is a servant of sin, and the servant does not stay in the house forever. A son stays forever. If then the Son makes you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you're the seed of Abraham, but you want to kill me, because my word has no place in you. I speak what I have seen with my Father, and you do what you have heard from your father." They answered and said to him, "Abraham is our father." And Yahusha said, If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you want to kill me, a man who has spoken to you the truth, which I heard from Elohim. Abraham did not do this. You do the works of your father. Then they said to him, We were not born of whoring. We have one Father, Elohim. And Yahusha said to them, If Elohim were your father, you would love me, because I am from Elohim and I am here, not on my own, but he sent me. Why don't you understand what I say? Because you are unable to hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and you wish to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning, and has not stood in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I speak the truth, you do not believe me.
The Yehudim proclaim that they are the sons of Abraham, but do not honor him. Then proclaim they have only one Father and are sons of Elohim, and then do not honor him. They are murderers, and their father is a murderer from the beginning. And because they do not do the works of Abraham or Elohim, they want to kill an innocent man. Their father is the father of lies. Therefore they cannot believe the truth, and they are unable to hear Yahusha's words. This spirit still persists today. People hang on to old religious views and doctrines of men in spite of what the Bible says, hanging on to the lies, incapable of hearing the truth, and continuing to be slaves to sin. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. Don't you know that friendship with the world is hostility towards Elohim? Whoever chooses to be a friend of the world renders themselves an enemy of Elohim, even denying the truth when it is the truth that can set them free. And because we live in a society where murder and capital punishment is no longer socially acceptable, people now murder others with their words and thought and by means of cancel culture. If you are not in agreement with the world, they simply erase your voice and your ability to communicate with others. We call this character assassination. There is nothing new under the sun. So we see, the AtBash provides us a different view of the Ten Commandments. We can look past the deceptions and traditions of men, which enables us to understand not only the commandments with more depth, but also the mirrors. We see the mirrors directly reflect the Ten Commandments, and this is confirmation, the AtBash. Yeshua said, And when the Helper comes, whom I will send to you from the Father, the Spirit of the truth, who comes from the Father, he will bear witness of me, and having come, he will rebuke the world concerning sin and concerning righteousness and concerning judgment. But when he comes, the Spirit of the truth, he will guide you into all the truth, because he will not speak from himself, but whatever he hears he will speak, and he will announce to you what is to come.
One of the lies in the Great Deception is the belief that when you die, you go to heaven. The world has conjured up images of pearly gates in the clouds and St. Peter greeting us with a host of winged angels playing harps. Regardless of the imagination, it is a false concept from generations of paganism creeping into the teachings of the old way. However, There is not one prophecy or promise that you go to heaven when you die. It is not found in any of our scriptures. Yet this belief is taught through indoctrination, and many people have died for this belief across the earth. One of the best known examples are the kamikaze. During World War II, innumerable Japanese soldiers, sailors, and pilots were indoctrinated in the belief that if you died for the country, they would become ere, that is, guardian spirits of the country. The pilots were called kamikaze, meaning divine wind. Kami is the Japanese word for God, spirit, or divinity, and kaze is the word for wind. In other words, a divine wind or Holy Spirit. Many of the kamikaze pilots believed their death would pay off any debt they owed and would show the love they had for their families, friends, and the empire. As time wore on, the nationalist portrayal of kamikaze pilots as noble soldiers willing to sacrifice their lives for the country became questioned by modern critics. In 2006, Suneo Watanabe, editor-in-chief of the Yomiuri Shimbun, the world's largest newspaper, wrote, "It's all a lie that the kamikaze left filled with braveness and joy, crying, 'Long live the emperor!' They were sheep at a slaughterhouse." Approximately 3,800 kamikaze pilots died during the war, and more than 7,000 enemy naval personnel were killed by kamikaze attacks. Over 10,000 beings lost over a myth, a lie. Throughout the life of this earth, entire continents have been at war serving this belief, whether they died for the glory of their gods or the glory of the empire. Either way, it was all done through belief in the deception that when you die, you go on to inherit eternal life in heaven or in paradise. We are not immune from this delusion today, not even in the United States. So, we will put this myth to the test using the AtBash we learned when we looked at the 10 Commandments. The AtBash of the 5th and the 6th Commandments said, "If you honor your father and your mother, and do not murder, your days will be prolonged on the earth." Matthew 5:5 says,
"Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth."
and as our witness, Psalm 37:11 says,
"The meek will inherit the earth and will delight themselves in the abundance of Shalom."
It does not say the meek will inherit heaven. It does not say the murderers will inherit the earth. It does not say the murderers will inherit heaven. It does say that the meek will inherit the earth. In English, meekness is comparable to weakness. But is this true? One way to use the AtBash is to look at both the Greek and the Hebrew words, translated into English, to see if we can find a match. When we find a mirror in the Old Testament for a passage like Matthew 5:5, as we do with Psalm 37:11, we can test the translation by doing a comparison between the Greek word for meek and the Hebrew word meek, translated into English. One Greek word and one Hebrew word should equal the same English word, like our simple math equation, but now instead of numeric value matching, we are looking for both matching word definition and application. We will focus on two words, meek and earth. Remember, the kamikaze myth was that the warrior would inherit heaven, built on the deception that when you die you go to heaven. We see in English that meek and warrior are not synonymous. And we also see that earth and heaven are not synonymous.
In Matthew 5:5, the Greek word used for meek is Strong's 4239, praus, meek. This difficult to translate root, pra, means more than meek. Biblical meekness is not weakness, but rather refers to exercising Elohim's strength under his control. For example, demonstrating power without undue harshness. The English term meek often lacks this blend of reserve and strength. The definition of praus clearly states that the English term meek lacks the blend of reserve and strength, and demonstrating power without undue harshness is not compatible with warrior. When we look at the Hebrew word translated meek in Psalms 37:11, we are given a far better understanding of the word. In Hebrew, meek is Strong's number 6035, anav. Poor, afflicted, humble, meek. So we see praus and anav are defined meek. So we have a match. And when we look at the first suggested verse that uses anav, we get a more rounded definition of praus than simply meek when we look at the application and context. In Numbers 12:3, anav is rendered humble. And the man Moshe was very humble, more than all men who are on the face of the earth. And when we look at this verse in the Greek Septuagint, we see that the Greek translators used praus for anav, a match. We have broadened our understanding of Matthew 5:5 because we now understand the meek are the humble. And then we can read the verse with a very different understanding. Blessed are the poor and afflicted, showing reserve and exercising Elohim's strength under his control, demonstrating power without undue harshness, and humble, they will inherit the earth. So it would seem the myth of the kamikaze is pretty easy to disprove, even in English. But what about the myth that it is built upon, that when you die, you go to heaven?
We need to confirm that these scriptures are talking about the earth and not heaven. In Matthew 5:5, the Greek word for earth is Strong's 1093, ye. Properly, the physical earth. Figuratively, the arena or realm we live in. But is this the same word used in Psalm 37:11? The Hebrew word for earth is Strong's 776, eretz, earth, land. And when we look at Genesis 1:1, we see that the Greek and Hebrew agree. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. In the Torah, earth is Strong's 776, eretz. In the Greek Septuagint, earth is Strong's 1093, ye. And it is now confirmed on the testimony of 3 witnesses that the meek will inherit the earth, not heaven. And this was the promise from the beginning. When Elohim said,
Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the earth, and over all the earth. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim he created him, male and female he created them. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said to them, Bear fruit and increase, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over all the creatures moving on the earth. Adam inherited the earth when he was created by Elohim. But after the fall of Adam, man was not only exiled out of the garden, but also cursed to return to the earth he was made from when he died.
And Yahuwah Elohim said,
See, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. He may put out his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever. So Yahuwah Elohim exiled him out of the Garden of Eden, to till the ground that he was taken out of. And he drove the man out. And he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way, to guard the way to the tree of life. And Yahuwah Elohim said, by the sweat of your face you are to eat bread until you return to the ground, because you were taken out of it, you are dust, and to dust you will return when you die.
However, here is the good news. Elohim sent his Son, who called himself the Son of Adam, to atone for the sins of Adam and for all mankind. It says in John 3:16, Elohim loves the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son, so that everyone who believes in him should not perish, but possess everlasting life. And in Revelation chapters 21 and 22, we see the confirmation. And I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. And I, Yochanan, saw their set-apart city, renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Elohim, prepared in the way a bride is adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the heavens saying, see, the sukkah of Elohim is with man, and he will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and Elohim himself will be with them, and be their Elohim. And Elohim will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, no mourning, no crying, and there will be no more pain. For the old way is dead. See, I make all matters new. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. I will give anyone who thirsts the water of the fountain of life free of charge. Anyone who overcomes will inherit all this, and I will be his Elohim, and he will be my son.
And the messenger showed me a river of the water of life in the city's middle street, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. On either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. See, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give each according to his works. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing the commandments, so that the authority will be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city.
And if we take the AtBash one step further, we find another mirror in Isaiah 65:17-19. Look, I am creating new heavens and a new earth, and the former will not be remembered or even come into the mind. Be happy and rejoice forever in what I create. For look, I create rejoicing in Jerusalem and joy in her people. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and in my people, and the voice of weeping and the voice of crying will not be heard in her anymore.
The belief of going to heaven after death is false. From the beginning, man was created to inherit the earth, and when we die, we will return to it. However, on the last day, everything will be made new. And Psalm 37 gives us a complete understanding of what it will take to inherit the earth. Those who wait on Yahuwah will inherit the earth. The humble will inherit the earth and fill themselves with an abundance of shalom. And Yahuwah sustains the righteous, because Yahuwah knows the days of the perfect, and their inheritance is forever. The righteous will inherit the earth and dwell in it forever. The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and their tongues talk of right ruling. The Torah of Elohim is in their heart. So wait on Yahuwah and guard his way, and he will glorify you to inherit the earth. There are many mirrors in Scripture to confirm that on the last day, Yahuwah will create a new heaven and a new earth, The righteous will inherit the earth, and they will be granted permission to eat from the tree of life and live in it forever.
We would like to share one more application of the AtBash to enhance your understanding. We highly recommend reading Psalm 119 using the AtBash instead of reading it in the traditional order. Psalm 119 is divided into verses. Each verse has 8 lines. Each line begins with the same letter of the Hebrew alphabet throughout the verse. For example, the verse starting with Aleph starts on line 1 and goes to line 8. There are 8 lines, and all 8 begin with the letter Aleph. The first word of the next verse and its 8 lines begin with the letter Bet, lines 9 through 16. And this pattern continues throughout the psalm, concluding with the last 8 lines that begin with Tav. Instead of reading the verses in the traditional order of Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, etc., read it Aleph, Tav, Bet, Shin, Gimel, Resh, Dalet, Kuf, He, Zadeh, Vav, Pei, Zayin, Ayin, Het, Samek, Tet, Nun, Yod, Mem, and Kaf, Lamed, and see what you can unlock. When you apply all of the keys of the AtBash we have shared in this study to Psalm 119, it will unlock hours of reading and study using the same verses, and you will gain a deeper understanding of the psalm. And as we saw with the word meek, you can gain a better understanding of an English word that has been translated from Hebrew and Greek. The Hebrew and Greek definitions and usage will help you gain an even better understanding of English. This exercise will grow your understanding of the AtBash and simultaneously strengthen your understanding and memorization of the Hebrew alphabet. Learn them forwards and backwards, right?
By using the AtBash method of study, we can confirm our understanding and remove doubt from our walk with Elohim. And we can put the lies of the world's religions to the infallible test of Scripture in multiple languages to gain a better understanding of His Word. Wherever you are in your journey with the Father and Yahusha, we encourage everyone to continue to test all things on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. And this is not a new message or hard to understand, as it is written, "Seek, and you will find." We must continue walking with Elohim, because He will reverse the curse. And for those who guard His commandments and carry the testimony of Yahusha HaMashiach, showing reserve and exercising Elohim's strength under His control, demonstrating the humility of Moshe by showing power without undue harshness, they will inherit the earth, and they will live in it forever. Shalom.
Remember this, and show yourselves men. Turn back from your sins. Remember from the beginning to forever, I am Elohim, and there are none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times that which has not been done yet, saying, my counsel will stand, I do all my desire. Enter in through the narrow gate, because the gate that leads to destruction is wide, and there are many who enter in through that broad way. And because the gate that leads to life is hard-pressed, and the way is narrow, there are few who find it. Woe to you, learned in the Torah, because you took away the key of knowledge. You do not enter in yourselves, and you prevent those who were going in from entering. But he who is set apart, He is true. He has the key of David. He opens and no one closes. He closes and no one can open. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one is able to close it. Know that I have loved you, because you have guarded my word of endurance, and have not denied my name. So I will also guard you from that hour of trial that will come upon the world, to try all of those who dwell on the earth. Those who have ears, let them hear what the Spirit has to say.
And now, if you diligently obey my voice and will guard my covenant, then you will be my treasured possession above all the nations, for all the earth is mine. If you stay in my word, you are truly my taught ones, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. The Yehudim said to him, "We are the seed of Abraham, and have never been servants to anyone at any time. How do you say you will become free?" And Yahusha said, "If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you want to kill me, a man who has spoken to you the truth, which I heard from Elohim. Abraham did not do this. You do the works of your father, the devil, and you want to do the lusts of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning, and has not stood in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks of his own, because he is a liar and the father of it. And because I speak the truth, you do not believe me. You say we are the seed of Abraham, and we have never been servants to anyone at any time. Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham came to be, I am. If anyone guards my word, he will never see death at all. Remember Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery."
Although you already know this, remember that Yahusha saved a people out of the land of Mitzrayim, and afterward destroyed those who did not believe. The disciples said to Yahusha, "Tell us how our end will be." And Yahusha said,
Have you discovered the beginning then, that you look for the end? Because where the beginning is, the end will be there. Blessed is he who will take his place in the beginning. He will know the end and will not experience death.